Judge Napolitano, who joins us on the phone. Judge, what do you think of what's just transpired and Mueller now impaneling this Washington grand jury?
Well, I generally agree with what Tom just told you. Remember, the FBI without a grand jury is essentially toothless. It can request documents and request interviews, but it can't compel them. Only a grand jury can issue subpoenas, which is an instrument compelling someone to testify or compelling someone to produce documents. One of our great criticisms of Jim Comey and the investigation of Mrs. Clinton was that no grand jury was convened. It's almost unheard of in a criminal case that prosecutors and investigators and FBI agents can operate without a grand jury. It doesn't mean they have a target. It doesn't mean they think somebody's guilty. It just means that they need this tool, this instrument called a subpoena, in order to gather more information to decide where to go next.
So how does a grand jury do that for you?
You impanel them in secret. There's 23 of them, and you put a witness on before them, in this case probably an FBI agent, who will testify to what information she or he has already gathered. So it can be hearsay. I spoke to so-and-so who told me this. I spoke to so-and-so who told me that. As a result of what I've learned, we need to bring that person to testify before you, and they don't want to come voluntarily. Or as a result of what I've learned, we believe that a lot of documents exist in such and such a place, and we need a subpoena from you in order to get those documents. Now, an experienced prosecutor can almost always get the subpoena from the grand jury, but there has to be a record of what was said to the grand jury in order to induce it to issue the subpoena.
Now, the journal is quoting a number of legal experts who say that this is a sign that Mueller is ratcheting this up to a very serious, vigorous investigation. What do you say?
I don't necessarily agree with that, but it is a sign that Bob Mueller is going at least several steps beyond where Jim Comey went in the investigation of Mrs. Clinton. It is a sign that he has found something from some source, and that is going to be explained to the grand jury in order to persuade them to vote to issue a subpoena. It doesn't mean that this is going to be over soon. It doesn't mean it's going to go on forever. It just means it's moving methodically, professionally, and there is something there worthy of the grand jury's attention.
All right. Is there any procedure to this? The reason why I asked, Judge, is we're learning, and John Roberts mentioned it just a few minutes ago, that Donald Trump's attorney, Ty Cobb, said he was not aware that Mueller had a grand jury. Obviously, they favor anything that gets an investigation to a swift conclusion, and that's the take they're having on this. But would it be procedure to let anyone at the White House even know such a thing had happened?
No, the Justice Department regulations only require that a person be informed when they are a target of the grand jury. I can't imagine that Bob Mueller is anywhere near making that determination yet. The other time that the lawyers would be told of what the grand jury is doing is when the lawyer's client is about to be subpoenaed. So if President Trump were going to be subpoenaed, which would be highly unusual and unlikely, then of course they would tell his lawyers. But short of that, they have no obligation to tell them anything.
All right. In almost all the press accounts I've been reading on this, Judge, they always say that the impaneling of a grand jury is an indication that the investigation is ramping up. I don't know if those are fiery words, but how do you describe what this means, this action taken by Mueller means?
Well, bear in mind that the grand jury operates in secret, so I really don't know any more about it than what you do, other than my experience with other grand juries in other cases. It doesn't necessarily mean it's ramping up, but it means he has found something, some evidence of some criminal behavior, which has caused him to want to dig deeper, and the instrument for digging deeper is a subpoena, and only a grand jury can issue a subpoena. So someone working for Bob Mueller, probably an FBI agent, is about to summarize or already has summarized whatever they found, and they will tell the grand jury what they're still looking for and ask for the subpoena, and the grand jury will no doubt issue it.
All right, but are they at the stage you think then, I'm sorry to be picayune about this, but that they are at the stage where they want to and feel comfortable issuing subpoenas?
Absolutely. There would be no other reason for impaneling the grand jury besides asking for an indictment, which is the end of this process, than asking for a subpoena, which is the beginning of the grand jury process.
All right. Judge, thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate it. Judge Napolitano.